very short notice, agreeing to allow us to use Woodford Square for our very short rally this afternoon. So I want to thank Brother Helene Moraine and the other councillors, as well as the mayor of the Port of Spain City Corporation. I want to thank the Commissioner of Police acting and Inspector Sudin of the Central Police Station, as well as his officers, for facilitating our march today. And I want to, at this time, also extend condolences to all the officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service on the loss of one of their officers who was killed yesterday in Rich Plain, I think it was, Diego Martin. But thank you to the officers for your cooperation. We always like to work in cooperation so that we can express ourselves in terms of our freedom of association and freedom of expression, which rights and freedoms are very, very important at this time in Trinidad and Tobago. Because if we become silenced as a people, those who control economic and political power will get their way. So as the song said, it is time for us to stand up and fight for our rights. Now, sisters and brothers, we are not only saying to Mr. Imbert, reverse it now. We are saying that, reverse it now. But he will, and his minions, and the sycophants have already begun to run with their narrative. So I was on radio on yesterday afternoon, was it? Or the day before, Thursday. And I was invited to be interviewed on the street, 91.9. And I talked about the march and the reasons for the march and so on. As soon as I finished, the sycophants started calling in to attack what I was saying. I don't mind you attacking what I was saying. But when you're attacking on the basis of nonsense, then we, as Comrade Roger say, we have to get the correct narrative out there. So, take the refinery. Comrade Roger dealt with one aspect. Imagine Dr. Rowley said down in Diego Martin a couple of weeks ago at his party meeting that the reason why there are potholes in the country that can't be fixed is because there's no bitumen after Point-a-Pierre refinery closed down. Now, what the hell? Before the refinery closed, we told them that one of the implications of closing the refinery is that there will be no bitumen. And SPD and SPD know A from B said, oh, we could import bitumen from Barbados. But everybody who knows about bitumen knows that it is a hot material. So I don't know how they're bringing in that material from Barbados. And then Dr. Rowley said, well, because we have no bitumen, we now have to restructure Lake Asphalt, represented by the Contractors and General Workers Union. And when you hear they talk restructure, they really mean retrenchment. That's what they mean. That is what is coming to Lake Asphalt and so on. Because Lake Asphalt was a subsidiary of Petrotrin too. And we warned them about that. So I want to say, as I said in a press conference some time ago, that the reason why we have all those potholes is because of the decision by Rowley to close down the refinery. Pothole Rowley. It's on you. It's on you. So, the fuel subsidy. Imbert said in Parliament, when he announced that they were going to remove it, that he was sharing the burden of adjustment between the government and consumers. Half-half. So the government will pay the extra amount as a result of the price of oil going up, and they pay half of the extra amount, and consumers will pay the other half, 800 and something million, and he worked that out at $1 per litre more for super and premium, and 50 cents a litre more for diesel. But you see, that is where the false narrative is. Because the issue is not how you share the burden between government and the people, it is how you share the burden amongst the people. So the rich are not paying their fair share of the burden in this country. all the burden is going on the backs of working people, poor people, who have not had a wage or salary increase for the last 8 or 9 years. So, why not, Mr. Imbert, increase the taxes on McInerney and Samakal, which has reported bigger than ever profits, Massey, bigger than ever profits, Republic Bank, bigger than ever profits, Scotia Bank the same, Angostura, Agostini, all these big companies making more and more profits, and the directors and the big shareholders and the managers and the CEOs, all of them getting more money and getting bonus on top of that, because when the company makes more profit, they get a bonus based on the increased profit. So somebody working for $100,000 a month, $75,000 a month, tax them more, because who have more corn supposed to feed more fowl in this round. Tax them in there, and you will get the money instead of removing the subsidy on fuel. Because when you remove the subsidy on fuel, those big shops not going to bother them to pay an extra $40 or $50 to fill up their tank, not bothering them at all if they're working for $50,000 and $100,000. It doesn't bother them. But if the Taxi Association has a problem because the price of fuel has gone up, and the Maxi Association has a problem because the price of fuel goes up, what do? Do they take the hit as taxi drivers and as maxi drivers and owners who are ordinary people? Do they take the hit? Or will they then have to say, well, we can't take that pressure anymore, we may have to increase our fares? But who travels in maxi and taxi is ordinary working people and poor people that's traveling maxi and taxi. That's what is going on. So you're putting the pressure on people, and you want to create now a conflict between the maxi and taxi drivers on one hand and the traveling public on the other hand. That's what you want to do. In other countries, if the price of fuel goes up, you have all kinds of buses and subway and train and so on, which are subsidized so that people could travel. We don't have that here. So you're pressing the pressure in Bear and Rowley on the backs of ordinary people, hundreds of thousands of people who have to travel to work every day and send their children to school as well. And you put that increase on the very day that schools start back physically for the majority of children in this country, when parents had to find money out of the normal time, because parents often budget July, August, prepare for September start of school. You start school in the middle of April, when many people haven't caught themselves after COVID yet. And you have to find money now for uniform, for sneakers, for all kinds of things, plus money for passage for children to go to school. All of that, you're putting pressure on the backs of people. We say as well, with high food prices, because you see, we're not just saying no to high food prices. We have alternatives to the food prices. So we say, in the short term, put money into national flour mills. So when they import, and I forgot to mention Comrade Shiraz Khan, I saw him out of the corner of my eye, of the Farmers Union of Trinidad and Tobago. I was coming to the issue of farmers, and then I remembered Shiraz and said, welcome Shiraz. And when NFM has to bring in wheat and corn and other things to make flour and animal feed and so on, put money into NFM so that the farmers could get feed at an affordable price, so their livestock could be sold to consumers at an affordable price. That's what you have to do in there. There are solutions, man, but you don't care about that, because you could go in the supermarket and buy the most expensive cuts of meat, while other people can't even see a piece of chicken on a Sunday for lunch. And then if you subsidize NFM, then flour price could come down. And then we will tell KISS and the other bakeries that since flour prices come down, you KISS have to bring down your price. And other bakeries so that people could buy your bread. That's what we have to do. Because you see, they talk about subsidy. Government subsidizing this, that, but you know, all of us as consumers subsidizing those big businesses when we buy from them. That's what we're doing, you know. Subsidizing them, giving them big profits, while we get in trouble on the ground. And we said, 2 years ago, COVID started, we warned the country before anybody else about what would happen to food prices and everything else, and shipping and all of that, and other countries keeping their food for themselves. We warned that 2 years ago when we did our roadmap for recovery. They didn't listen. Government said they're going to spend $500 million in agriculture. Sure, has any of the farmers get any 500 million or any piece of that in the last 2 years? I'm sure you haven't. So, farmers are not being supported. And if we grow more yam and cassava and breadfruit and sweet potato, we wouldn't have to depend on wheat when they come from Ukraine or Russia, if they're in war or not in war, if it have flood in Australia or snow and storm in the United States and Canada. We wouldn't have to worry about that if we produce it here in Trinidad and Tobago and in the CARICOM region. Rowley, like, he get the message late. So when he come back from Washington, he say he going Guyana to discuss food. He getting the message late. Getting the message late. So sisters and brothers, we have many proposals to deal with high food prices in the country. And we have put them out. And so the issue really now is the lack of political will. You see, those big companies finance the parties in power. And the one in opposition does get two. So when they come in, they don't do anything about it either. Both of them does get, because the elites of the society, they have one party card. They belong to PIP party, which is the party in power. So they finance both, and regardless of which way they take fall, their business fixed. So sisters and brothers, we have to grow this process. And so, as I said at the start, this is the mustard seed that we have planted today. We didn't want time to pass and people say, well, the fuel price went up since Tuesday morning and all, you didn't do anything for 6 weeks. So we said we're starting the process now, and we planted the seed today. And this mustard seed will grow into a mighty, powerful tree. I'm sure of that. Sure of that. Already we have had the leadership of the JTUM here with us today, representative of the Taxi Drivers Association. I was in communication with a number of other organizations over the last few days, but it was very short notice for them. So we are going to be calling a meeting of many different organizations in this country to come together so that we can have a massive activity on the issue of fuel prices and food prices and other things that affect ordinary people in Trinidad and Tobago. So that is going to take place. This is the start. This is the smoke, the fire behind. This is the smoke, the fire behind. So on Saturday, 30th of April, May Day celebrations, Joint Trade Union Movement. That's the next activity. And then there'll be something coming after that, and after that, until Mr. Imbert reverses it. Reverse it now, Imbert. Reverse it now, Rowley. Deal with high food prices. Deal with the problems that people have. Thank you very much, sisters and brothers. Thank you for coming out on this Saturday. We know that many people are. Thank you. I'm just seeing the banner behind me. So let me let the cameras catch the banner. Thank you, Brother Kelvin, Lalchan, and my brother there, comrades, who are remembering justice for the divers. Yusuf Henry, Kazim Ali, Rishi Nagasar, and Faisal Kerman. Justice for the divers. That is an issue that we must never, ever forget. Never ever forget that. So thank you very much for being here. So, sisters and brothers, I want to thank you for coming out Saturday morning. Special thanks to Sister Sherry Ann Luke. Let's give Sherry Ann a round of applause. That powerful calypso she sang on inflation. She said she's up and coming, but that song is the kind of song that should win the monarch into the battle today. Conscious lyrics. Thank you very much, Sherry Ann. And Sherry Ann is from Upper Hague Street in Carenage, where we know well, and a number of our MSJ activists, Errol Burke and Dara Eve, the sister of the national football coach, Angus Eve, all up from Upper Hague Street, popularly known as Scorpion. And Sherry Ann reached out to me and I said, yes, come down. So Carenage is in the house today as well. Thank you very much. So thank you for coming out. We have started the process. You have made a sacrifice, which we appreciate, and this will continue. And we could say and mark the spot, 23rd of April 2022, we planted the mustard seed and it will grow. Thank you very much. Long live, forward ever, backward never.